T.O. Go ahead.
Right now, I'm starting recording, and the first thing I want to say is I can't stand you. Okay, I just want to say that. I just want to put that on the record.
That is fine.
For starters, Heather, again, everybody, if I sound down or crazy, it's because Heather Brown got me up at 8 o'clock in the damn morning. Oh my gosh. On the Saturday, I swear to God, I would have been asleep. I would have still been asleep, but I committed. And I am so grateful and I'm so thankful that you said yes. So I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay. You got your coffee?
I got my coffee.
Okay.
I got my special coffee mug too.
I did what kind is that? What is that?
It's a nice glass coffee mug that I got myself as what I call myself a seasoned mom gift. This is what you get when you don't have little babies running around, so you can have special coffee mug.
She can start off extra already. It looked like, are you familiar with the David's tea?
Yeah.
Thing. That's what it looks like. Cause I had one, but I broke it. And I know the first one. He had to buy me another one. But I had one that looked similar to that, and it comes with a little steeper thing. But anyway, we are not here talking about tea. Well,
kinda.
So okay, I'm sorry. Let me compose myself and get professional.
Let's be professional. Okay.
I know, right? Just a little bit. My bad. I'm so sorry, everybody. Heather, I am not gonna hold you. And let me get my stuff together. There we go. Okay. So, Miss Brown, let's start with the basics. Are you married, and how many kids do you have?
Yes, I'm married, and we have, drum roll, 7.
Y'all heard it right. And I know the first one, or the last one that I got a chance to kind of be on the back end of that. She was like the cutest little thing. So anyway, Miss Marlene. So 7 kids, you are married. So next question. Honey, are you looking for more?
Child. Now, had you called me about 2-3 years ago, I would have been like, all right, cool, I can do it. But you know what? I turned 42, and I decided I want this decade without being pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So with 7 kids, I can only imagine having multiple personalities from everybody. Because everybody kind of, and this sounds so bad when I say that, I don't want to sound crazy. But I'm like having 7 different personalities having to navigate through. My next question for you is, what in the world, what do you wish you would have known before you started having your first couple of kids?
There's a lot of things I wish I had known. I wish I had known, first of all, that I was going to have this many kids. Let's talk about that. That was not in the plan. But as
no judgment. Okay.
Right. They're here now. So.
Yeah, I mean.
But I think for me, I wish I had known that it's, for me, and this is just my experience, but it's actually was easier on the front end. But now that I have adult children, parenting changes. And so I wasn't ready for not even teenage years. Teenage years were okay because I was a substitute teacher. So I was just like, whatever, I've seen this before. But having 18 and 21-year-old children and being an adult and looking back and like, wait a minute, I'm still young, but I have these young adults that came from my body. That's a totally different experience because not only are you parenting, now you switch to being more so like a guide for them, and then having to really learn to respect their opinions and their positions on things without saying, well, you have to still do it because I said so. The conversation changes because parenting takes, it's just a different thing. It takes a different role once they get to be a certain age. So yeah, I wish I was more prepared for that part.
So, but how do you think you could have been more prepared for that? And I know that's a trick question, and I mean we definitely know you can't go back. But how do you think you could have been more prepared for that?
I think really just the thing about parenting is you really have to watch other parents because there's no book on it, and you really have to think about your own personal experiences growing up And a lot of times we go, well, I'm different. My kids are going to be different. I'm going to be doing different things. But truthfully, we all human. So we just going to really do the same things. Just don't call it different things. And so just really looking back on how I was as a young adult. And I guess the other thing is looking at, the characteristics of my husband when he was that age, and really understanding that this is going to manifest in these young people in my life. And so if I don't see this behavior that I don't recognize, it's probably because that other one that contributed to these people in my house is not mine. And just being ready for it, being open, being ready, and just know that it's just like having newborns, but these are newborns with attitude.
So I want to make sure I got this right. So number one, I think I'm hearing you say, everybody choose your spouse wisely. Because whatever coming up in your life.
Even if you don't choose a spouse, choose your baby's mama, daddy.
Something wisely. Gotcha, baby.
Yeah.
Y'all, that's tip number one. Tip number one. Foundation is everything.
Right.
I got that. So you brought
a lot of questions. We don't ask those questions when we're looking at those things. Go back and ask the parents that raised us. Go back and ask the parents that raised them. Like, hey, what's going on? Will I see crazy when this child turns 17? Like, we need to know this.
So, I mean, I know you're 7 years in. I'm sorry, 7 kids in, excuse me. I know you're 7 kids in, but did you ever have that conversation with your parents or either his parents?
No, I did not. And let me tell you why. I was the person that said I did not want anybody's children. So I was not preparing to be a parent. I never thought I would have children. I know this sounds crazy, but I never wanted kids. Like it wasn't on, like how people say they have like a to-do list of
a vision board.
It was never part of my vision board to have children. Like they're cool. I've been an aunt my whole life. I'm the youngest of 7. I got a bunch of nieces and nephews. That was good enough. And especially being the youngest, and looking at all that stuff, I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And it really wasn't part of my plan. So I wasn't that little girl that grew up wanting kids or, wanting all this big family and things. I really was focused on career, and kids just kind of happened. So, but looking back, I think I should have just taken notes just in case.
So what about your parenting style and how your parenting style, does it match or is it different, drastically different from how you were parented?
I think I've struck the balance because I think I grew up kind of sheltered and was, kind of strict parenting and everything. And I'm very much, first of all, I'm a full-on Sagittarius, so there's no way anything gonna be that strict in my life. And so my whole
I'm not even. I got nothing to do with that.
So my thing about being a parent, I think I started out trying to be strict, and it didn't work for my personality type because it's really hard for me. And I'm easygoing, I'm laid back. If you make mistakes, hey, as long as it's like nothing like murder, we can pretty much clean it up. So I'm one of those kind of people that I just really like to live life and be happy and everything. So being a strict parent really didn't work for me, but being structured works as far as, hey guys, we got to get this done. We got to do this and this and this, but I'm not a drill sergeant. And I didn't grow up with drill sergeant parents, but I just grew up with parents that tended to, like, their default answer was always no, before they got the information. And I try to be the parent that's open to say, well, I need the information first before I make a decision. And let's talk about it. And so, I try to strike that balance. Every once in a while, my parents peep up.
So, well, I mean, of course, how they created you. I got you on that. Like that, I get. I will say that, like, listening to you and a couple of the other parents that I've kind of come across, is coming more and more interesting to me because most of us are. I shouldn't say us because I'm not a parent yet, but most people
will be. So you gotta tell me.
I'm prepared. I'm prepared, which is why this is here. I am preparing.
Yes, I love it.
I am preparing. So, but I'm learning, like, we are definitely you know, we have that, I should say, foundation again, that our parents kind of laid for us. And a lot of times, most of us either swing too far to the left so that we're trying to completely get away from our parents, or too far to the right where we are exactly like them to the point where overbearing or whatever the case may have been, depending on your situation. And so I'm like, it's been very interesting to kind of hear how we all kind of navigate through all of it. And so listening to you, I know you said your parents were slightly strict and you're a little bit different. You're more open-minded. You're more engaging. And obviously you have a different style of communication with your kids. And so my question is, has it ever come back to bite you in the ass? Like, wait a minute. You answered that like, baby, like that's a no-brainer. Like, duh. My bad. So how did you deal with that? Like, does it make you rethink your entire parenting style? Do you readjust just with this one kid? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's a little bit of both because, you know, the thing that you learn, of course, like you say, there's 7 different personalities, and you have to really understand which version of myself am I dealing with today? Because really every child, like everybody says, all your kids manifest some version of your own personality.
I can get that.
Yeah. So you have your extreme kid that's just like you, and then you have your kid that just certain things about them are just like you. So that's the one thing. You have to figure out which version of yourself you're dealing with. And then you have to deal with the parenting style for that child. So I don't do a blanketed approach for everybody because I learned early on that didn't work. You know, with my oldest child, I could be like, let's do homework, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he could do it. With my second child, it was more so of trying to figure out what the problem was. He had a bit of a learning disability. So I couldn't come in with him the same way I could with the oldest child. So even as they've gotten older, my oldest child is more so like me. I can say 2-3 words and he's like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm going to do it. That second kid, just like his daddy. So,
oh, Jesus. Okay.
So, totally different approach. You know, I got to get a little bit more, you know, got to get in the space a little bit more.
One more game. Yeah.
Right. Like, I know you sick too, but, you know, you bring that on down to this space here. So, you know. So yeah, you know, there's been times where I've been like, okay, this is gonna work. We're all happy, you know, we free and we doing all this stuff. And next thing you know, he doing something. And so I have to go back and then really talk about it. And then, you know, really talk about it with my husband. And he has to be like, hey, I told you, that boy crazy. You know, he has like, you know.
Parenting. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's, you know, and those are the honest conversations you have to have with each other about, look, I recognize this because this is what I did at this age. You may not have been around when I was wilding out, but this is not new information. So let me show you how to deal with it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I did go through that stage. Oh, I did. Yeah. Lord Jesus. Lord have mercy. Pray for me and my kids.
It's coming
I forgot about it. God, I forgot all about that. Like, okay.
You remember when your parents said, I hope you have a child that acts just like you?
You know what? My mom, she never said that to me. She never said that to me. I'm sure she did. Oh, I'm sure. Because I was one of those kids that just, like, I was always in adults' business. And so I knew what was going on. And so I couldn't, it was a little bit more difficult for you to discipline me because I didn't lie. Like, you did just cheat. You know what I mean? Yeah, you cheated on him. Yeah, that's my kid. You know, and when I would say that, you would get your feelings hurt. So, yeah, I'm going to get that. Yeah. It's like, I'll pass my the Winston. I'm passing
You're going to get a double portion of that.
Baby, I'll be like, Helen Brown, you better come get this joke. I'm going to end up in 201 Poplar. So, but
we're going to pray for you. We're going to pray straight.
Please pray for me, please. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, a whole nother conversation. We'll prepare for that later. So, prepare for that a little bit later. So, what about spending time, like quality time with the kids? Do you ever feel like you're not giving enough attention, or is it too much attention to any one kid, or do you have to kind of go back and forth between that?
Again, I really have to leave it up to them. Okay. I have learned and this is again because you have so many people in the house. When they get to be a certain age, I would take them out on individual outings. My mascara want to run today, honey. But
Is it? You can't even tell.
it's
Is
red. I'm gonna throw this
it?
mascara away. But but what I have learned with each individual child is that I have to understand what quality time or really what their love languages are. And I think you know, I'm big on, you know, really understanding what works for everybody. I know that I have one child that doesn't necessarily want to spend quality time as far as like, I don't want to go shopping with you. I just want you to know, you know, I'm gonna give you 10 minutes of this is all everything I did for the last 2 weeks, and then she's fine and she'll go up to her room and be on her tablet and we won't see her
And be
again
there.
until she's hungry. So you know, I have another child that loves to hug. She'll come by and she'll hug. You know, that's what makes her secure. That's her quality time. She'll come down and watch a movie with you and things like that. So I've learned that I have to really interpret what they need for them.
Sure.
So, you know, I have kids that, you know, hey, if I go get an oil change, can I go with you to get your oil change?
To get
You know, those are those things that they really value, but I try to really base it off of the individual and more, and not so much off of what what I think they need.
So, and what brought you to that determination? I mean, was it just trial and error to kind of allow them to be the guide in that particular situation, to tell you what they need, so to speak?
Yeah, that, and then also I think about my dad. My dad was very he was one of those I only speak when I need to say something kind of people. Very much.
Okay.
You know, he didn't do a whole lot of talking, but he was very much into anticipating what your needs were as an individual. So
Okay.
he knew by me being the youngest, a lot of times I got ignored because everybody else paired up. You know, everybody else had a sibling their age and they could pair up, and I'd be by myself because the next sibling to me was 7 years older. So I was just kind of like a loner. And
Mm-hmm.
he would say, you know, he would do things and we would do a lot of individual things because he knew that I was a one-on-one person. So he'd be like, all right, we going to the store, we going to Target, we going to the auto store because he was a mechanic. So he's like, we want to go buy car parts, whatever else. And then, but the other kids would be like, well, you know, I just need $50. So I'm like, okay. You know? And so, you know, but I could see that even with having, and there was a large span of children, like with us as far as age difference, but he was able to be an individual for that particular person. So he gave them what they needed, and it didn't compromise what I needed because he gave my sister or my brother, you know, what they needed. So yeah, I took it off of him a lot.
That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. And I will say that I'm really glad that you are, I don't want to say exploring. I mean, because hell, your children, your oldest is over 20 at this point. So you're no
I
longer
mean,
exploring,
we're
baby,
still
like
in
you said.
exploration.
Well, you're seasoned at it, okay? You got, you know what I'm saying? You got some,
Yeah.
okay, they say some growth behind it, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah. But, you know, I mean, because I love to see that. Because I know, not that I'm of an older age, but my, you know, generation it wasn't the case, you know? It was almost like a dictatorship. It was, this is what I said do, and this is what my expectation is, and get out there. And so it wasn't always room for those kids that were eccentric, or it wasn't always, you know what I mean? And so I'm really glad that you're playing with that and exploring with that, and kind of, you know, because that's going to create a different style of community and a different style of leader for our world eventually. And so I like that. Way to go, Heather. Like air high five. Hello. So I definitely, I know we spoke a little bit earlier about everything that's kind of going on, and this may get a little dark, and I'm hoping it doesn't go too far. But especially with the coronavirus and everything that's kind of going on in our nation right now, have you had that talk with your kids about death and what it means and the future of it, and not necessarily of the coronavirus, but of death itself? And if so, how did that conversation go?
I've talked to them, and I believe in age-appropriate conversations, obviously.
Okay.
With my older kids, you know, we talk a little bit more in depth about, you know, really what they feel, you know, the interpretations are as far as, what do you think happens after death, or, all those types of things. Or if anything were to happen to me, can I count on you to raise your siblings, because I don't want them in the foster system. All those type of conversations happen. And I think we approach it as, it's not just life, but it is a part of life. And it's something that you do have to really broach early on before, everybody starts getting older, or, life starts happening. You really don't think about it. The other thing is, we've had a lot of family, not a lot, but a good amount of family members who passed away that were part of their life. So they understand they're no longer here. And, it was because, death happened, and death stops life. And so just to be able to tell them that, you're going to be okay, even though that person's not here anymore, the love that you have with that person, or had with that person, the love is still there. Those memories are still there. All those things are real. You do have to understand that, at some point you're going to lose somebody. The thing about it is, we don't want to lose them too early. And, they've seen classmates pass away because of car accidents.
Their own classmates?
Yeah, like my 18-year-old, his senior year, was that his senior year? One of these years, there was a classmate that passed away. And so, that became real for them, because, you're here today and gone tomorrow. Next thing you know, there's an announcement saying that this person passed away, car accidents, things like that. And so just to get a good grasp on, you never know. Yeah. But these are the things that you really need to know moving forward. How do you cope? How do you, grieve and everything? We're going to give you the space for that. These are safe places so that you can, explore what those emotions that come along with that are. So, though it's an ongoing conversation. It's not like we talk about it every day, but we do kind of touch bases on it every once in a while. So, even when the young kids come in, hey, but my friend said they're going to a funeral. Well, what's a funeral? What do you do at a funeral? Because, and here's the thing, as a parent, I don't allow my small children, I don't allow them to go to funerals unless it's for a close family member that they actually knew. So I don't believe in just traumatized. I was traumatized because my parents were a little bit older. Look, my mom was 42 when she had me. So do the math. I'm 42 now. My mom was 42 when she had me. So we went to a lot of funerals.
I get that. I can get that. My grandmother was 40 when she had my mom, and last baby, and had a set of twins.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. But I get that. I get that. Yep. So, but you were traumatized as a kid by going to a funeral?
Yeah, we were going to funerals all the time, and my mom has a large family, and we were going into it seemed like we were going to Mississippi every other week to go to somebody's funeral, and it was a lot for me as a child to try to grasp and really, understand, first of all, why are we here, and secondly, what's going on. And so I didn't want that for my kids, especially with people you really don't know. I think funerals, just like weddings, should be intimate. I think it should be the people that really cared about you, that are there to celebrate your life and to, wish you well into whatever your afterlife story is. But I don't think that it's just something that you should, drag your kids to just because, a church member died.
Accident.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, first off, for those that don't know, Heather was on the show a couple of years ago, and honey, I don't want to talk about church members, okay? Do not want to have that conversation. Oh, my Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, sorry.
Right.
Okay, let me stay focused. So, okay, I know you said, it's so not funny, I'm sorry. I know you said age appropriate. What is that appropriate age, do you feel that it is, when it comes down to being able to introduce that conversation to your kids? Or are you allowing them to guide you on that as well? I
allow them to guide me. I'm very much, as you find out with me, I'm very much baby-led, there are different parenting techniques. And I'm a baby-led kind of person. So, the child, even when they were babies, I wouldn't put them on a feeding schedule. I don't put them on any type of schedules like that, because I feel like nature tells you when you're ready for the next step. So I feel like nature will make you ask those questions. I had to introduce it to my boys, my big boys earlier because my dad passed away when they were 6 and 3.
Okay.
So that was that was early, and I had to go ahead and talk to them about it so that they would be ready, to attend the funeral for my dad and everything because he was in their life every day. Like he took
Yeah.
my oldest to school every day. So to say, hey, your grandpa won't be here to take you to school every day because he passed away. We saw him in the hospital, and to have those type of conversations to tell him, he's not going to be here anymore. Those
Yeah.
were earlier conversations, and even with my 18-year-old, even though he was 2 turning 3, it affected him as well because he really had to understand we're not going to go over there and see him anymore. So it was a daily conversation for a while with my 18-year-old because he was so small. Just to just kind of drive it in like, no, he's not here anymore. No, you're not going to see him today. No, he's not here. And it's just not just to keep saying, well, no, baby, he dead. But
Yeah.
it was more so like, no, he's not here anymore. We said bye bye. And things like that. So with a 2 or 3-year-old, you probably just keep it really simple. You're saying bye bye. As they get a little bit older, they'll ask a little bit more questions. So explain the concept of death. And then as they get older, they kind of start experiencing it because they'll see celebrities, family members, friends, and so they kind of get a worldview of what that means.
That was actually a perfect segue. I was going to kind of follow with that in regards to social media because it can definitely reveal a lot of information that a lot of parents are not necessarily ready or prepared to deal with. And so how are you with social media and your kids being introduced to social media?
Well, I'm pretty much on social media.
We know, honey, you all over the place, okay, with social media. I just want to, I'm sorry. Is it Freaky Friday? Is it Freaky Friday?
Yes. Yes. We did a cocktail edition yesterday. So.
I'm going to look that up. I will be looking her Freaky Fridays up. Y'all got to check that out. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but with social media, because I was fortunate enough that I was already on social media by the time my kids started, really discovering social media. So that helped. And the thing about it was I couldn't, lock everything down and be like, well, you can't get on this. But, again, age appropriate. Listen, don't try to get a fake account. You just might as well wait till you're 13. If you want to see something, let's talk about it. I do monitor things in the fact of I don't go searching through phones and all that stuff while they're not there. I'm like, hey, open your phone and look now. I mean, there's nothing to hide, right? Because you all up in my business. So you ain't paid one bill.
Okay. I need to record one of those sessions. We need to add that in as an extra clip, a bonus clip.
Yes.
Okay,
like, listen, you ain't paid one bill around here. And I think that's the other thing is that I think I'm as honest as I can be with my kids as far as who I am. They see me getting ready for my social media interactions and everything because I am on, a lot of platforms and I'm there all the time. So they understand this is really my business. So, and the other thing that we talk about is right now, you can put something out and somebody take a screenshot and your life is over. So let's talk about that, and with them being at the age where they're college kids, they're both graduating, like my older kids. Again, let's talk about the older kids. Got one graduating from TSU and he's getting a degree and, I've told him, dude, I hope you've not put anything out there on social media that an employer can look at and make a decision about your life. And even with the 18-year-old, he's graduated from Southwest. Both of them are ready to go into the work world. Social media is fun, but that's all it should be. It's just some fun social activity, but not your life story. Because unless you're making money from it, leave it alone. And my younger ones are not even interested in social media.
Really?
No, they want to play video games. They wanted an iPhone so they can iMessage their friends. This is as social as they're gonna get.
Wow, like that. I don't think I've heard that one yet.
Yeah, they're not interested.
That is really amazing.
Yeah,
girl, you lucked out with that. I just want you to know that. Okay, I want you to know that. Lucky as hell. Okay, like
Look,
for real.
I'm holding my breath because the girls are still young. So
Okay. Because I'm like, most of these parents are, they're limiting screen time or limiting content, or, some parents are even to another extreme where just like it's not allowed in the house at all.
Yeah.
And so
No.
I'm like, but that doesn't mean that the kid, then not to mention, you take it away completely. It just makes the kids. Exactly. So, but that's another issue, So, wow. Like, yeah, you definitely lucked out with that. You lucked out with that.
I think that is enough kids in the house that they're their own social media platform. So, and I think a lot of them, like the only thing that they really care about is YouTube videos. Like my girls watch a bunch of kids opening up toys on YouTube. My boys are watching people gaming on YouTube. But I think it's also their tablets don't have passcodes on there. They, everything's open. Hey, just be you, don't hide anything. We're good with everything. Again, because of my background, we have a lot of other talks about social media, about how it can affect you, as young people and everything. And I just think it's the being open and just understanding that this is their way of socializing and, stepping back a little bit, because we had the AOL chat room. So
how about the doggone chat line is what I remember. Okay, baby. Don't get me started, Heather. Don't get me started till early morning. But I have one final question for you, Miss Heather.
Okay.
And try not to make me cry, but I feel like it's going to. Okay. What has been your proudest moment as a mother? And not necessarily singling out one particular kid. I don't want to make anybody upset. But what has been your proudest moment as a mother?
I think it was a conversation that I had. I'm really thinking about this. So it was a conversation I had because I'm gonna try not to make it like about my kids, because I'd be like, I just love them.
I feel like I was like, I'm just gonna be balling. I was like, I don't want to do that.
No, we're not doing that. We having fun. So,
Okay.
But like, I think one of my proudest moments was when I had somebody to pretty much contact me through Messenger, and I posted pictures of my kids all the time, and they were like, "You just handle all these people with so much grace." Like, she was saying, everybody else is always complaining about having their kids at home. I never hear you complaining. And I said, because one thing I understood when I first started having kids was I could have prevented them being here. Yeah. So it's my responsibility to bring these people in here with, the feeling of them being wanted. And I never want kids, not my kids. My kids will never feel like I don't want them, because even though I did not plan for kids, they are here. They must have been my miracle and blessing. So no, I've never had a day where I said, I don't like I don't want these. Now I say I ain't like them, but I never said I didn't want them. And I never want them to feel like, they're not wanted and they're not loved. So I thought that was a very proud moment for me, that someone else saw that the effort that I'm putting into raising them to feel that way is really manifested. So I was like, yay.
You say, what's that? Have mama moment. I get that though. And I'm glad of that. Because not everybody was meant to be a mother. Just because they had kids. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I get that. I get that. Because you don't want them to feel like they're not wanted, despite the sort of how they got here. You know what I mean?
Right.
I get that.
Yeah, they're my favorite people. Like, I always tell people, they are my favorite people in the world. I would hang out with them if they wasn't my kids. Yeah.
I get that. Look at you. Go, Miss Heather Brown. Lead. I was like, we're going to have to do a class on parenting. Okay. Yeah. Like, and I'm serious. Like, a legitimate, you should, not we. Excuse me, you a legitimate class on parenting. And I mean, obviously you have all age groups, but parenting at different stages. You need to do something. I need you to think about that, because we need some education.
All right.
Did you say let me pray about that? Is that automatically a no? It's like, that's a no. It's like, hell no. I ain't trying to tell nobody else how to do that.
I can tell you what I do. Like I tell people all the time, I can tell you what I do, and then you do whatever you do from there. So.
Well, Miss Heather, thank you so much for telling us what you do. Okay. Like I do appreciate that. This has been a blast. Like this has made my morning actually. This has been a good morning. This has been a good morning. I thank you so much, Miss Heather. And you know we're gonna be seeing you soon. You know I'm gonna talk to you.
I love it.